Okay, everybody, so welcome back. This is Ian from Mindful Marketplace, and today's video is going to be really short. And this is really just for those of you who are part of our community. But essentially, I purchased a whole bunch of workbooks and PDFs that you can use to not only build your own brand and business, but you can also actually offer these to clients in a consultative way. So if you're working with other online agencies and digital media brands, or even online coaches, authors, teachers, entrepreneurs of any kind, you can actually, if you're part of our community, you can actually give these to them. And and you can actually edit these in Canva and all sorts of stuff like that. But primarily, this is for those of you who want to actually do these exercises for yourself while you're building your digital media business in 2022. So here are some of the templates. This is only a 3 PDF template, but it's a dream client template. And essentially, it allows you to focus on or winnow down, narrow down your quintessential client or your ideal audience or your dream client, and essentially, get very clear as to who you're talking to, what their, sort of, what inspires them, what motivates them, who they are in the world, where they may live, the traditional, kind of psychographic demographic profile that many higher end marketing agencies use. But in this case, we're just going to be looking at simple things like, what websites they may use or platforms they may visit, what sort of personality they may have, etc., etc. So, in some of these other PDFs, you'll also be able to really kind of get clear on your brand voice. And again, some of these sorts of strategies can be a little overrated in my view, but I do find that knowing, what kind of tone, tempo, and voice that you want to bring to your brand can be really significant. I mean, for me, one of the things I like best is writing funny, entertaining content, sort of being a little irreverent and offbeat and eccentric. Yet I often don't do that. So I often get very serious when I do videos like this, or I get very, kind of, I don't want to say stiff, but I'm not my usual kind of jokey self. And being very clear about what it is that you're trying to convey brand wise when you're launching something new or selling a service can be really clarifying, even if it's just for knowing in advance like what kind of voice and language and tone and approach you want to be using, and of course also what sort of clients you will be capturing in the world. I'll tell you a very quick funny story. And the person who actually was part of this may actually be listening to this. But I'll never forget this. I was working with a really high end kind of financial person, like somebody who ran and still runs a financial directory, or a marketplace. And while we were on the phone prior to being hired, and he was just kind of like feeling me out a little bit. We're having a really good conversation. And unbeknownst to me, he pulled up my LinkedIn profile, which I don't use, right? And I've never really had a need for LinkedIn and really kind of never have used it. Anyway, all it said on my profile was, I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride, which is a cheesy Bon Jovi quote from a Bon Jovi song. And he as he's looking at this, he said this to me as I'm on the phone. He's like, "Is this you?" And it was, like it was a odd moment where I realized that the kind of voice I was using for myself in my online kind of persona, in this case LinkedIn, which is not something I really care that much about, but he cared about it and he was looking at that. And it was an awkward moment where I actually had to say to this person, who we ended up having a great relationship for quite a while, look, you've had an hour and a half of my time today. You need to make up your own mind whether or not I'm a good fit for you predicated on our conversation, not the throwaway sort of quote that you're reading to me on my LinkedIn profile, which to him was probably a little bit of a red flag. Anyway, thankfully, we navigated through that. It was funny. We laughed about it later. But I could have potentially lost the client there because of this sort of funny, irreverent kind of approach that I was using in my public persona versus the more kind of serious presentation that I was giving to him about working together on their platform launch. All right. So finally, this is again, these are things that I've purchased. So, some of these words I've changed a little bit, but for the most part, these PDFs are as I bought them. But your brand mission really gives you a sense of clarification as to why it is, what you're doing, and why it matters, right? And if you've followed any of my work in the past, one of the things that I've always tried to tell people is to create a strategy, structure, sequence, and story. And the story is why what you're doing matters to you and why it ought to matter to the rest of us. So something like this can be really, really helpful for not doing the strategy, structure, and sequence piece. This is misspelled. That's not my misspelling, but I will fix it. But the story piece, like why are you different? Why is this important to you? Why are you doing what you're doing? What problem are you solving? Whose problem is it that you're solving? And I added this piece here, and if you've, again, worked with me, you know this, but the niche and need exercise to me, if you're working with clients, is the single most important thing that you can do as a consultant, as a online agency or digital media brand. Like, what is the niche? And what do they empirically need to succeed that they don't have right now? And this is the problem you're going to be solving. All right, so as you can see here, I just filled in this little piece with some of our own content. We help enlighten entrepreneurs tell stories that change the world. And our secret sauce is really what I call, a bridge book. We write books, teach courses that introduce ideas that invite or inspire an experience, right? So my whole goal in 2022 and beyond is to help entrepreneurs put out tiny ideas that make a big impact both in the lives of their clients, in their own lives, and hopefully in the lives of many other people in the world at large. And we build a bridge between their words and their actual work in the world. So, again, you'll get a copy of this if you're in our community that you can fill out for yourselves. And if you are working with clients and want to actually give them a copy of this, you can modify this with your own brand and business name, etc., etc. I'll send you a Canva link where you can make those edits on your own. Okay, so if you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask, but you can download these in your administration area right now. Thanks so much. As always, have a wonderful day. Teach what you know, do what you love. Wake up the world with your work. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to everyone soon.